My parents stole my college fund for my brother's gambling, so I took a job that changed everything. The letter saying I got into college was shaking in my hands, and I was crying so much I could barely read it. It said I got a full scholarship. I had worked so hard for 4 years, staying up all night studying and giving up my social life. Finally, it paid off. Stanford University wanted me. Willow, from a small town in Pennsylvania, the girl everyone thought wouldn't do anything. Special. Mom! Dad! I ran downstairs, almost tripping. I got in! I really got in. The kitchen went quiet. My mom and dad looked at each other in a way that made me nervous. My older brother, Travis, was sitting at the table with his head in his hands. Honey, sit down, my mom said gently. We need to talk. I held the letter tighter. What's wrong? My dad wouldn't look at me. Your college fund, it's gone, he said, and it felt like he had punched me. What do you mean, gone? I asked. My mom put her hand on Travis's shoulder. Travis got into trouble with some dangerous people, and we had to use the money to pay off his gambling debts. I finished the sentence in a quiet voice. Travis finally looked up, his eyes red. I'm sorry, Willow, he said. I'll pay you back, I promise. You said that before, I whispered. This is different, my mom said. Your brother could have been hurt. We didn't have a choice. I laughed, but it was an angry sound. No choice? What about my choices, my future? My dad got angry. Don't be dramatic, he said. Community college is still an option, or you can work for a few years and save up. Save up? I threw the letter on the table. Do you know how much Stanford costs? The scholarship only covers part of it. That fund was everything. My mom's voice got louder. Family comes first. Travis needed us. And I don't? My voice broke. I've never asked for anything. I worked so hard while you kept giving Travis money for his mistakes. Watch your mouth, my dad warned. My phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't know. Hello? I said, turning away from my family. Is this Willow Norton? This is Margaret from Mills & Associates law firm. We got your application for the receptionist position. I had applied a few weeks ago because I needed a summer job. Now it felt like it could save me. Yes, this is she, I said. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Absolutely, I said, my mind racing. I'll be there. I hung up and looked at my family again. Travis was gone, probably hiding in his room like always. My mom was already making excuses for him, and my dad was agreeing with her. I have a job interview tomorrow, I said. That's nice, dear, my mom said, not really paying attention. Now about Travis. No, I interrupted. I'm done talking about Travis. I'm done with all of this. I ran upstairs to my room, grabbed my suitcase, and started packing, crying. Someone knocked softly on my door. Go away, I said, but my best friend Sylvia came in anyway. She must have heard everything through her window. I brought ice cream, she said, holding up a pint and 2 spoons. Want to talk about it? I sat down on my bed. They took everything I worked for. She sat next to me and gave me a spoon. So, what are you going to do about it? I got a job interview at Mills & Associates, the law firm. Sylvia's eyes got wide. That's amazing. It's just a receptionist job. It's a start, she said, and you're the smartest person I know. You'll work your way up. I stabbed my spoon into the ice cream. They don't think I can do anything. Did you hear them? Community college is still an option. I made fun of my dad's voice. Then prove them wrong, Sylvia said simply. Show them what you can do. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something changed inside me. I stopped crying, and I felt determined. You're right, I said slowly. I'm done being the good daughter. I was done watching Travis mess everything up while my parents always cleaned up after him. What are you going to do? Sylvia asked. I smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to become someone they can't ignore, someone with real power. I looked at my Stanford letter, now crumpled on the floor. They think law school is impossible for me? Fine, I'll learn law from the bottom up instead. Sylvia grinned. Now that sounds like a plan. I took another bite of ice cream, my mind already planning. Tomorrow I'd walk into that law firm and start my new life. And someday, when my family needed help again, because they always did, they'd see who I had become. Reception, this is Willow speaking. How may I direct your call? I said, holding the phone with my shoulder while sorting papers. It had been 3 months since I started working at Mills & Associates, and I already knew everything. Every partner's schedule, client's preferences, and filing system. Hey, new girl, a friendly voice said. I looked up and saw Tobias, Mr. Mills's son, leaning on my desk. He pointed at my coffee cup. That's ice cold. Want a fresh one? Thanks, but I can't leave the desk right now. Mr. Mills needs these papers sorted before the Thompson meeting. I know, he grinned. I'll watch the phones for 5 minutes. Go get some coffee. I hesitated, then grabbed my cup. The break room was empty, thankfully. But as I reached for the coffee, I heard voices from the partners' lounge next door. That new receptionist, Mr. Mills was saying, she's something else. Willow, the young one? Another. Voice, Mr. Parker answered. What about her? She reorganized our whole filing system last week, found 3 missing papers that could have lost us the Riverside case, and she's been studying the legal briefs in her spare time. Mr. Parker chuckled. A receptionist who actually reads the briefs? That's a first. She's wasted at that desk, Jacob. I'm thinking of moving her to paralegal. My hand froze on the coffee pot. Paralegal? After only 3 months? Easy there, Jacob, a woman's voice said, making me jump. I turned around and saw a tall, elegant black woman in a suit. I'm Sylvia, the new associate attorney. And you're Willow, right? The super receptionist everyone's talking about. I stammered. She laughed. Relax, I get my info by the coffee machine, too. She filled her cup. Word is you're aiming for more than just answering phones. I want to learn everything I can, I admitted. Law school isn't an option right now, but there's more than one way to get to the top. She nodded. Smart girl. Want some free advice? Take a paralegal certification course online at night. When they offer you the position, and they will, you'll be ready. I smiled. I started the course 2 weeks ago. Even smarter than I thought, she said, handing me a business card. I like you, Willow. Let's do lunch sometime. Back at my desk, Tobias was struggling with the phones, 3 lines at once. How do you do this? He complained. Practice, I said smoothly, taking over, and a really good memory. Speaking of memory, he lowered his voice. Your brother called while you were gone, said it was urgent. My smile disappeared. Did he leave a message? Just asked you to call home. Thanks. I wouldn't be calling back. Later that evening, as I was about to leave, my cell phone rang. It was my mom's number. I let it go to voicemail, but she called right back. What? I answered, sharply. Don't use that tone with me, she snapped. We haven't heard from you in weeks. Travis needs... I'm at work, Mom. I can't talk. Work? That receptionist job? Honey, you need to think about your future. Your father knows someone at the bank who could... I have to go. I hung up, my hands shaking. Family problems. I jumped, as Mr. Mills appeared behind me, coat in hand. I'm sorry, sir. I don't usually take personal calls at work. Willow, he said kindly, I've been watching you. You're the first one in and the last one out. You study every paper that comes your way. You know our filing system better than people who've worked here for years. I stood up straighter. I want to learn everything I can, sir. Why? Because knowledge is power, I blurted out, then blushed. He smiled. No, you're exactly right. How would you like to become a paralegal? We'll change your schedule, so you can finish your certification. My heart leaped. I'd love that opportunity, sir. Good. And Willow, he paused at the door, whatever is going on with your family, don't let it distract you. I see real potential in you. After he left, I sat at my desk, staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Travis. Let them call. Let them need me. I opened my laptop and pulled up my paralegal coursework. Every hour studying was another step away from being that helpless girl whose dreams they had stolen, another step towards becoming someone with real power. Knowledge is power, I whispered and started to read. 4 years passed quickly. I stood in front of my office mirror, fixing my new designer jacket, a gift to myself for becoming a junior partner at 31. The nameplate on my desk still thrilled me. Willow Norton, partner. A knock interrupted me. Come in. Sylvia, now head of corporate law, breezed in. Ready for the Henderson meeting? It's going to be rough. When isn't it? I grabbed my tablet. Did you see their latest counteroffer? It's insulting. She paused, studying my face. You okay? You look tired. Travis called last night. First time in 2 years. She sat on the edge of my desk. What did baby brother want? Didn't answer, but he left 6 voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. Show me your game face, Sylvia demanded. I straightened my back, lifted my chin, and let my expression turn cold. What Tobias called my shark smile. Better. Perfect. Now let's go eat some CEOs for breakfast. The Henderson meeting was as rough as predicted, but I'd learned from the best. 4 hours later, I had them where I wanted them. So, we're agreed? I said, sliding the contract across the table. 20 million plus restructuring terms. Henderson scowled. This is highway robbery. No, I smiled my shark smile. This is business. Sign, or we'll see you in court. They signed. Back in my office, I finally checked my voicemails. Travis's voice was increasingly panicked. Willow, please, I really need to talk to you. It's bad this time. Really bad. They're going to take the house. Mom and Dad's house. Please call me back. I don't know what to do. They're giving us 30 days, Willow. Please, I'm begging you. I was still staring at my phone when Tobias walked in. Earth to Willow? Dad's looking for you. Sorry, I gestured at the phone. Family stuff. He perched on my desk. Our old positions reversed now that I had the corner office. Want to talk about it? Not much to say. They made their choices. I made mine. Yeah, but they're still family. I shot him a look. Easy to say when your family supported your dreams instead of stealing them. Fair point. He stood anyway. Dad wants to see you about the Martinez case. And, Will, he paused at the door. Whatever you decide, I've got your back. Mr. Mills was waiting in his office, looking exactly as he had the day he hired me, just a little grayer. Sit down, Willow. Tell me about Henderson. Signed and delivered. 20 million plus all our terms. Excellent. He leaned back. You've come a long way from that receptionist desk. Thanks to you, sir. No, he shook his head. Thanks to you. Your drive, your determination. I just opened the door. You walked through it. My phone buzzed again. Travis problem? Mr. Mills asked. No, sir. Just family. I nodded. He continued. You know, I've never asked about them. Seemed like a sore subject. They made some choices you couldn't forgive. He studied me. And now they need your help? I looked up, surprised. How did you... 30 years in law, Willow. I know that look. He paused. Want some advice? Always? Sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment, it's success. He smiled. You've proven yourself. Maybe it's time to show them exactly who you've become. Back in my office, I pulled up the county records database. There it was, a foreclosure notice on my parents' house. They were underwater on the mortgage, months behind on payments. My phone rang again. Mom this time. Willow. Her voice was smaller than I remembered. Please don't hang up. What do you want, Mom? We need help. The bank they're going to take the house. Travis tried everything, but what? His gambling buddies won't loan him more money? That's not fair, she protested weakly. No, I laughed. What's not fair is stealing your daughter's future to enable your son's addiction. What's not fair is... I stopped, took a breath. You know what? Never mind. I'll help you. Will. The relief in her voice was painful. Yes, but we'll do this my way. All of you come to my office tomorrow at 2 p.m. Your office? Mills & Associates, 23rd floor, don't be late. I hung up and stared out my window at the city below. Mr. Mills was right. I'd proven myself. Now it was time to show my family exactly who they'd underestimated. Let them come to my territory. Let them see my name on the door. My view from the top. At 1:55 p.m., my assistant buzzed. Your family is here. Give me 2 minutes, then send them in. I stood behind my desk, smoothing my skirt. The wall of legal degrees and awards behind me felt like armor. The door opened. Mom entered first, looking smaller than I remembered, followed by Dad, who'd gone completely gray. Travis shuffled in last, unable to meet my eyes. Have a seat. I gestured to the chairs facing my desk. Willow, Mom started. This is quite an office partner perks. I sat down. So, tell me about the foreclosure. They exchanged glances. Travis cleared his throat. It's my fault. I borrowed against the house to cover some debts. Promised I'd pay it back, but you gambled that money away too, I finished, my voice ice cold. It wasn't like that, Mom jumped in. He was trying to invest in what, Mom? Poker? Horses? Or has he graduated to sports betting now? Listen here, Dad finally spoke up. We didn't come for a lecture. No, you came for money. I opened a folder on my desk. The house is worth $320,000. You owe $425,000, thanks to multiple home equity loans. You're 4 months behind on payments, and the bank has initiated foreclosure proceedings. How did you... Travis started. I'm a lawyer, Travis. Finding information is what I do. I leaned forward. Here's what I don't understand. Where did all that equity go? The house was paid off when I left for college? Silence. That's what I thought. I stood up, walking to my window. You know what's interesting? I pulled Travis credit report 7, maxed out credit cards, 3 personal loans, and somehow he still has a gambling account with weekly deposits. You had no right. Travis jumped up. Sit down! My voice cracked like a whip. He sat. I gestured to my assistant through the door. I have every right. You're asking me for help. This is how I help. By finding the truth. Please, Mom whispered. We'll lose everything. Like, I lost everything? I turned to face them. That was different, Dad protested weakly. You're right. It was different because I didn't gamble it away. I didn't throw it down a hole of addiction and lies. I returned to my desk. But here's what I'm offering. I pulled out a contract. I'll buy the house, pay off the mortgage, clear the debt, but there are conditions. What conditions? Travis asked suspiciously. First, Travis gets help. Real help. I've already arranged a spot at a rehabilitation facility. 6 months minimum. 6 months? He exploded. I can't. You can and you will. Second, I continued. Over his protests, Mom and Dad can stay in the house, but the deed will be in my name. And third, every penny Travis earns after rehab goes toward paying me back. That's blackmail, Mom stammered. No, that's consequences. Something this family never learned about. The door opened and Sylvia walked in, right on cue. Sorry to interrupt. Are these the contracts for the house purchase? Perfect timing. I smiled. Mom, Dad, this is Sylvia Reynolds, head of corporate law. She'll be handling the paperwork. You planned all this, Travis accused. Of course I did. That's what successful people do, Travis. They plan. They don't gamble their family's future away. Dad stood up abruptly. We need time to think about this. You have 24 hours, I said. After that, the offer expires, and good luck finding another solution in time to stop the foreclosure. Come on! Mom tugged at Travis's arm. Just as they reached the door, Travis paused. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Making us beg. No, Travis, I'm not enjoying this at all. I met his eyes. But someone has to stop this cycle. It might as well be me. After they left, Sylvia perched on my desk. Well, that was intense. Did I go too far? Are you kidding? That was masterful. Ice cold, but masterful. She studied my face. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I picked up the contract. Think they'll sign? They don't have a choice. You're their only option, and they know it. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. We sign, but I hope you're happy with what you've become. I showed Sylvia the message. She snorted. What you've become? You mean successful, independent, powerful? Exactly. I smiled, but it felt brittle. Everything they never wanted me to be. I turned back to my window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk approached. Tomorrow they'd sign. Tomorrow the tables would finally turn. But Mom's words echoed in my head. I hope you're happy with what you've become. The truth was, I wasn't sure how I felt about it either, but it was too late to turn back now. The conference room felt colder than usual as my family filed in the next morning. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, Dad looked like he hadn't slept, and Travis just looked defeated. Sylvia laid out the contracts while I stood at the head of the table. Everything's in order, she said. Just need signatures. Before we signed, Travis spoke up, his voice hoarse. I want to know something. Why are you really doing this, Will? I told you. Someone has to end this. He stood up, hands flat on the table. The truth is, this is revenge for the college fund. Mom hissed, but I gestured. No, let him speak. You want the truth? Fine. This isn't about revenge. This is about consequences. About facing reality instead of enabling more destruction. That's rich, he laughed bitterly. You, standing there in your fancy suit in your fancy office judging us. I earned this, I snapped. Every bit of it. While you were gambling away their retirement, I was working 80-hour weeks. While you were taking out loans you couldn't repay, I was studying law at night. Everything I have I built myself. Because you're so perfect? Because I had no choice. My voice cracked. You took my choices away. All of you. You took my dream and threw it away like it meant nothing. Willow, Dad started. No, let me finish. I took a breath. You know what the worst part was? Not losing Stanford, not losing the money. It was realizing that to my own family, I would always matter less than Travis's next crisis. Silence filled the room like smoke. Sign the papers, I said quietly. Take the help I'm offering, or don't. But this is your last chance. Mom picked up the pen first. Her hand trembled as she signed. This isn't right, Travis muttered. What isn't right exactly? Sylvia spoke up. Is destroying your family's financial security for a gambling addiction what isn't right? Is making your sister clean up your mess after stealing her future? Stay out of this, he snarled. Travis, Dad's voice was tired. Just sign the damn papers. One by one, they signed. When it was done, Sylvia gathered the contracts. The rehab center is expecting you tomorrow morning, I told Travis. A car will pick you up at 8 a.m., and if I don't go, then Mom and Dad lose the house anyway. Your choice. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Mom started to follow, then turned back. Was it really so terrible? She asked. Growing up with us? No, Mom. Growing up was fine. It was being sacrificed for Travis that was terrible. We never meant to hurt you to destroy your dreams to make me feel worthless. I shook my head. But you did. And now, here we are. Dad stood up slowly. You've made your point, Willow. You won. Are you happy now? This isn't about winning, Dad. This is about fixing what's broken. All of it. After they left, Sylvia touched my arm. You did the right thing. Then why does it feel so awful? Because you care. She squeezed my shoulder. That's what makes you different from them. You care enough to do the hard thing. My phone buzzed. A text from Tobias. Drinks tonight? You look like you need one. Go, Sylvia urged. I'll handle the paperwork. The bar was quiet for a Thursday. Tobias was already at our usual corner table. That bad? He asked as I slumped into a chair. Worse, I told him everything. You know what's crazy? He said when I finished. You're actually helping them. Really helping them, not just enabling more problems. Try telling them that. They'll figure it out eventually. He signaled for more drinks. Remember what Dad always says about tough cases? Sometimes the right decision feels wrong until it proves itself right. Exactly. I raised glass. To doing the right thing, even when it hurts. I clinked my glass against his, but before I could drink, my phone buzzed again. It was Travis. What? I answered. I'll go, he said quietly. To rehab. I'll go. Something tight in my chest loosened slightly. Good, but not for you, he added, quickly. For Mom and Dad. And for me, I guess. That's even better. A pause. I really messed up, didn't I? Everything. Everyone. Yes, I said softly. But maybe now you can start fixing it. After we hung up, Tobias raised an eyebrow. Progress? Maybe. I stared into my drink. Or maybe just another promise he won't keep. Only one way to find out? Yeah, I took a sip, time will tell. And for the first time since this all began, I felt something close to hope. 3 months after Travis entered rehab, Mom called during my lunch break. He's doing well, she said, her voice cautiously optimistic. The counselor said he is making progress. That's good. I picked up my salad waiting for the other shoe to drop. He asked if you would visit. There it was. I don't think that's a good idea. Please, Willow. He is really trying this time before. I can respond. Sylvia burst into my office, turn on the news. I switched on the TV. The headline made my blood run cold. Major law firm implicated in fraud scandal. Below it, a familiar name scrolled across the screen. That's impossible, I whispered. We handled their accounts. Emergency partner meeting in 5 minutes, Sylvia said grimly. The conference room was chaos. Partners were shouting over each other, and associates were hovering nervously by the walls. Mr. Mills stood at the head of the table, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Quiet, he commanded, and the room fell silent. The Henderson Group has been charged with massive securities fraud. They're claiming we knew about it. That's ridiculous. I stood up. I handled their contracts personally. Everything was in order. Saying you specifically signed off on fraudulent documents to the room spun. They were trying to save themselves, throwing us under the bus. Willow, Mr. Mills said quietly. Did you check every document they provided? Of course, I stopped, remembering. There had been so many papers, so many meetings. Had I missed something? My phone buzzed. Travis. Not now. We need to review everything, Sylvia announced. Every contract, every email, every post-it note. Already on it, I said, pulling out my tablet. I kept copies of everything. Hours blurred into days. I barely left the office, surviving on a coffee and determination. My phone kept buzzing. Travis, Mom, Dad. I ignored them all. On the 4th day, Tobias found me asleep at my desk. Go home, he ordered. You're no good to anyone like this. I almost found something's not right with these numbers. Willow, he took my coffee cup away. You need rest. What I need is not. To lose everything I've built. The words burst out of me. Do you know what they'll do if this sticks? I'll be disbarred. Everything I worked for gone just like your college fund, he finished gently. I laughed, slightly hysterical. Karma's a right? This isn't karma. This is corporate sharks trying to save themselves. He paused. Have you talked to Travis? What does Travis have to do with anything? He keeps calling the office, says it's important. Everything's important with Travis. My phone buzzed again. Travis. For God's sake, answer it, Tobias said. I'll do what? Well, listen. The Henderson thing, I know something. I sat straight up and said, what are you talking about? One of the guys here in rehab, he used to work in their accounting department. He has been watching the news and said, he says he has proof they were cooking the books way before you got involved. Put him on. An hour later, I burst into Mr. Mills's office, clutching my phone. I have got it proof Henderson was committing fraud before they ever came to us. They doctored the books before presenting them. He looked up sharply and asked, are you sure? My brother's rehab mate worked there. He kept the copies of everything, original documents, altered versions, emails discussed, the changes he is willing to testify. Mr. Mills smiled for the first time in days. Your brother rehab mates sometimes help. Comes from unexpected places. I said softly that night. I finally went home. My phone buzzed. Travis again. Thank you, I said when I answered. Did it help? More than you know. A pause. I'm trying well, really trying this time. I know counselor said I should make amends, real ones, not just word. I sank onto my couch and I'm sorry for everything, the collage, find the house, all of it. I know sorry does not fix it, but no, I agreed. It does not fix it, but it's a start. There was another pause. Will you visit, please? I closed my eyes, thinking of karma and consequences. I need help with the unexpected places next weekend. I said, finally, I'll come next weekend. After we ended the call, I looked at myself in the window's reflection. The person staring back wasn't the same angry, robbed girl or the heartless lawyer seeking payback. She was someone different now, always changing. Maybe that was true for everyone. The rehab center looked more like a school than a hospital. I sat across from Travis in the visitors area, both holding cheap coffee cups. You seem better, I said. meaning it. The scared look was gone from his eyes. 4 months sober. He smiled a little. The longest I've been without it since probably college. Mom says you're doing great. Most days, he played with his cup. Some days aren't easy, but I'm learning to cope. To really cope instead of running. There was a rare moment of quiet. I found something, he said, and took out an envelope. I was cleaning out my old room at Mom and Dad's before rehab. My stomach felt tight. What is it? Letters from Stanford. He slid the envelope. From after we took your money. My hands were shaking. I opened it and saw letters from months ago. Offers for money, work, different ways to pay. They wanted me, I whispered. They tried to help. Mom and Dad hid them. Travis looked away. They said it would hurt you to see what you missed, but they just didn't want you to go. Why show me this now? You need the full story. He breathed deeply. The reason they took your money. My coffee was cold when Travis talked about Dad's old debts, Mom's secret credit, cards. My college money didn't just pay for Travis, it paid for years of family lies. They blamed me, he said softly. I was already the screw-up. Why not? Why not tell me? I was also guilty. Maybe not of everything, but enough. He touched his hair. Would you have trusted me back then? My phone rang. Dad. Speaking of honesty, Travis said. They know. I'm telling you, that's them now, I answered. Hello? Don't believe him. Dad sounded desperate. He's mixed up. Rehab is it true? I asked quickly. Did you hide the letters? Silence. Did you use my money to cover your debts? I am coming over, I said, and this time everyone will tell the truth. I found them in their kitchen, my kitchen technically. Now Mom made baked goods. Dad was in a chair. They were sad. Talk, I said. They did everything that Travis said was true, and worse years of financial manipulation. Family lay my college money. It had sacrificed me to save themselves. We never meant Mom started, to get caught. What are you going to do? Dad asked. Nothing. I looked around. The contractor staying, Travis rehab, but now I know the truth. We never loved you, Mom said. We do still love you. Love isn't enough. Trust is everything. I broke a long time ago. Back in my office, Sylvia found me and stared out the window. That bad? Worse. I told her everything. Jesus, she whispered. What now? Now? I turned to face her. Now I keep the house, keep helping Travis, keep building my own life. Just like that? No. I smiled sadly. But I'm done letting their choices control my future. I've got my own path now. My phone buzzed. A text from Travis. Thank you for listening for everything. You know what's funny? I said to Sylvia. All these years, I thought getting revenge would fix everything, make me feel whole again. And now you realize the best revenge was never about hurting them. It was about healing myself. She hugged me tight. That's my girl. Another text came through from Mr. Mills. Dinner tonight? We need to discuss your future at the firm. Speaking of futures, I showed Sylvia the text. Want to bet he's finally ready to make me senior partner? After how you handled Henderson, it's about damn time. I looked at my reflection, remembering that broken girl. She wasn't broken anymore. She was finally, truly free. Senior partner Mr. Mills announced, raising a glass, the youngest in the firm history. The private dining room at License erupted in applause. Sylvia hugged me. Tobias whistled, and the other partners nodded approvingly. Speech! Someone called. Out. I stood smoothing my dress. Thank you, all of you, especially you, Mr. Mills, for seeing something that determined reception. It's all those years ago. I said you quietly. Someone hungry for success, not because of greed, but because of necessity. My phone buzzed. Travis. Sorry, I told the group I need to take this. In the restaurant, quietly hallway. I answered. Everything okay? Just finished my last therapy session. He said 6 months claim today. Congratulations. The counselor think I'm ready to start working again. Actually, he hesitated. Remember the account degree? And I never finished. What about if I'm going back to start with, but the starts is amazing. Travis was thinking, I have to earn trust back at the fan in accounting. One step on a time, I gently focus on your agreed first year. He paused, Mom, what did you tell them? The truth of all you doing great, that all stronger than any you knew. Back in the dining room, Mr. Mills was deep in conversation with Sylvia about the Henderson case. The evidence Travis's rehab made had blown the case wide open, saving not just our firm, but potentially dozens of investors. Speaking to Henderson, Mr. Mills. The 150 want to know if you will testify next month. Already paid my statement. That's my girl, he smiled proudly. You knew you never had daughters, but for if I did. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. A text, saw your motion in paper. We are so proud of you, if ever. You say you are going to the show. Did she? Had I put the phone way to my desk. Night is a party to base called call. Tell her I have to pro bono program your staring. All eyes turn to me and nothing fancy, said just legal aid intuitive for the family facing a closure-free counsel and payment addiction sources. Turning your pain into purpose, Sia whispered, something like that. Mr. Mills pulled me aside, you come so for. She said put so I get a new, I got everything I wanted. I made success power revenge, so why doesn't it feel it complete? Because revenge is empty without forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. I thought about Mom's text, about Travis's recovery, about all the lies and honesty. I can't just forget what they did. Nobody's asking you to, but maybe it's time to start a new chapter. One where you're not the one being hurt, but the one in control. My phone buzzed. A final text from Dad. The house feels empty when you're not there. Your room is still as you left it. It's always here. I typed a reply. Having dinner with my real family tonight, the people I picked. Maybe someday we'll all share a meal, but not yet. Small steps first. Mr. Mills, reading the text over my shoulder, said, that's how you build empires, and put families back together sometimes. He squeezed my shoulder. But first, you build yourself. The evening air was cool as we left the restaurant. Sylvia took my arm. So, senior partner, what's next? I gazed at the city lights, at all the opportunities ahead. Next, we help people. We create something that matters. We use this power for good. And your family? I asked her. They're part of my story, I said slowly. But they don't get to decide how it ends. I do. My phone showed new messages. Support from Travis, understanding from Dad, hope from Mom. Not forgiveness yet, but a chance. You know, Sylvia said, what's the most awesome payback there is? What's that? Living a great life, building something from the ruins, and going your own way no matter what people expect. She squeezed my shoulder. Now that's a story you can write. Stars shined through the city lights. I recalled the night I had the Stanford letter years gone. I hadn't not the dream, but I have knew that it were good. And this period and this point that this isn't just, that was the great reward.